Welcome to the Kings Road podcast. I'm your host, Justin Younts, and I'm here with my host,
CDCent, what's up?
and we are going to be talking about some of the news that just broke about Bray Wyatt. We're going to talk about the John Moxley interview with Dave Meltzer, and we're going to talk about Rampage. So enjoy. And here we go. Bray Wyatt is free. He can do whatever he wants now. He's not beholden to WWE for anything. And it looks like he wants to be in horror movies or do something in that world of movies. What do you think about that?
I mean, I saw the images of him being in the Warner Brothers lot. I think it's interesting is Warner Brothers, who has a
Yeah.
deal with AEW. So, I mean, obviously that's a link.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Well,
like,
it also says he has flat out rejected the Impact offer. So
man, look, bro, I'm sorry, but if you care about your career, why the fuck
you
would
do
you
not go
sign to TNA? Really?
TNA.
Like, why would you do that to yourself? Do you even care about your career? Look at
Exactly.
Kurt Angle. There was at one point where he was like mentioned in the breath with like Shawn Michaels and Chris Benoit before Chris Benoit became a murderer, and
Yeah.
and and Bret Hart, and then he went to TNA, and
Yeah.
it was like he stopped wrestling.
He basically broke. Yeah. He basically, he basically with Angle, he said that like he left TNA as soon as the money was drying up. You know. So you're right. I mean, it was such a step down Angle, but at the time it was it was
No,
meant as a big deal. But no, I don't
look,
ever want to
look.
see Wyatt.
I beg to differ. I feel after the Kurt Angle Samoa Joe thing, after the first two
Yeah.
months, I was over it. After two
Yeah, they
months, I
didn't
was
know what
over
else
it.
to do with him. And
Literally,
then they had
he
him in
should have
goofy
left.
comedy.
He should have left the second he beat Samoa Joe the second time, and take a year off and go back to WWE. And his legacy would be
The,
cemented way better
well, the
than it is.
problem was two things happened. At that time when he came in, they hired Vince Russo back, and he had no idea what to do with this super wrestler.
Bro,
And they just what?
bro.
No?
Vince Russo is not that bad. I will not stand for the Vince Russo slander.
All right. He's the one who put Angle in comedy skits after that thing, and he brought in his wife, which was stupid. I did not like it when Angle brought in his wife. It made him into a gimmick.
I mean,
It
in
just
his
all right,
defense,
but
didn't he
let's not
put
talk
Mick
about TNA.
Foley
Who
in
gives a shit?
comedy angles? And I'm pretty positive people at the time were like, "Are you gonna really put Mick Foley in comedy?" And they thought it was stupid, and then it ended up working out perfectly.
Okay, but then they did comedy angles in TNA with Mick Foley, where he was the champion
Because
and
it's
he was driving
TNA.
around
Everything
and he
in
was driving around in a
TNA.
shitty
The simple
car.
fact that you're in TNA, it changes the dynamic completely.
They
You know,
put their
you could
world
take
title. He's
Stone
the one
Cold
who,
Steve Austin and put him in TNA, and it would be like he went to become Stunning Steve Austin again. That's what TNA does. It
it
turns
really is.
greatness and
All right.
turns it into
Enough about
shit.
TNA. Who gives a shit about TNA? Apparently, though, some people are now letting out news about how Bray Wyatt was to work with, and they're saying that if you were if you were running $1 million company and you were getting paid all this money, and then they said this, and you were flagged for a medical reason, you wouldn't be acting like this and expect to keep your job. So I don't know. Maybe he did have a medical reason, and they never let that out. Whatever it was, but it's an interesting dynamic because I mean we talked about it. Top stars want some level of control with their work.
Here's
They're
the,
not
here,
just going to go out there and say,
listen
whatever,
to
I'll just read script.
listen to the language used and what you just said. It seems like whoever said that was probably a jobber, right? who was never a main event guy and was mad that a main event guy is complaining about
let's
his
let's
position
be
not
honest.
being
It's
good enough.
probably Bruce Pritchard.
Look, this is a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Anytime a top
Moxley?
guy questions anything creative does for them or questions the company in any way, they're difficult. It happened with Punk. It happened with Bret Hart back in the 90s. People used to say Bret Hart was difficult all the time. You know, Shawn, but I mean, Shawn was actually difficult. Austin, they used to say
Yeah.
Austin was difficult all the time, right?
Yeah. But
CM
that's because he
Punk,
cared.
difficult. Moxley, difficult. And then they go to AEW, and you don't hear a peep about them being difficult. You know why? Because the booker actually talks to them, has a conversation, and it's a back and forth conversation of what they're gonna do. The problem with WWE is they talk to you, at you, says you're gonna do this, and if you say anything but yes, sir, you're being difficult.
Yeah. And then after, if you do disobey them, they continue to remind you like 6 or 8 times till you want to kill yourself. I mean, they really are that. I mean, look,
Remember to
you got a
make Reigns
glimpse of
look
that.
strong.
Exactly. That, and they said that to him probably 20 times. It's just like, I love what Punk says. He's just like, no, I'm going to just beat him and I'm going to make him look really bad. And then he said, you know what would really make him look strong? If he won. And they're like, yeah, but Vince wants you to go over.
Yeah, I just
What
don't get it. I
it's so
really don't get it.
stupid.
They're so
It's like
dumb.
he's offering to put over Reigns. And they're like, no, we don't want that.
That's not what we want.
We want him to look strong.
We like you. Who told you we don't like you? We like you. We want you to win. But we like this guy.
That was
too.
when he told them like he wanted he wanted that day off for a wedding. And they're like, oh, well, we still need you or whatever. He's like, okay, I'm wrestling first on the show and you're chartering a jet to the place. I mean, one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with WWE is it's just a lack of direction.
How is one hand supposed to know what the other hand is doing when the hand itself doesn't know what it's doing?
When the hand changes his mind 15 times.
Like, how is somebody supposed to know shit in that way?
Well, we've got this book, but Vince just threw out the script, so
I don't
we're not
buy
doing that feud.
the whole narrative that Bray Wyatt is difficult.
No, I don't either. No one, everyone liked him. Even Seth Rollins says he was sad when Bray Wyatt left, and he's like the biggest, do whatever.
And he always
WWE
had a
says
reputation
guy.
as a locker room leader, and now all of a sudden he wasn't.
Yeah,
that makes no sense. Whatever.
It's just because he probably was like, Vince, this doesn't make sense, and this is stupid.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, you're being difficult. I mean, I mentioned this before, but I mean, Drew McIntyre got in trouble because he asked too many questions. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how do you get in trouble for that? That shows he cares.
That's insulting. How dare you ask me a question?
How dare you ask questions? Zoe Saldana would like never work in WWE because that's all Batista said she would do on Marvel sets is be like, she asked like a million questions. She worked for Vince, he'd be like, I can't take it. That's too many questions. Just do what I say. Oh man. I don't know. I'm just glad he's free and clear. When do you think we see him in AEW?
Full Gear.
You think it's Full Gear?
Yeah.
How would you have him come out on Full Gear?
I have no idea. I won't say shit. I
wouldn't have him come out as we said with the Hangman Page if he wins the title.
I definitely think if I was doing it,
yeah,
it would be after the match. And set him up immediately as the next number one contender. That's what I would
for what's his name? Hangman?
Whoever it is. Maybe not in a TV match, but you set it up there and then you can start working that angle for February. you know.
Yeah. Do you think he's really going to go by Wyndham?
I hope not, but
Or do you think he's going to have like 3 different characters and be like, this is Wyndham, this is
I would
theme
like
2,
that.
and
Hey, man, if anybody could get it over, it would be him.
yeah, they really could.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the Kings Road podcast. You can subscribe here.
To get the latest clips and news on the show, or like us on Facebook.com/Kings Road Podcast, or email us at podcastkingsroad@gmail.com.
Also, check out our Instagram at Kings_Road_podcast and our Twitter at the KRP podcast. Thank you.